I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I'm talking about giving yourself permission in 4 different crucial areas of your life. The first one is giving yourself permission not to know. The second one is giving yourself permission to learn. The third one is giving yourself permission to make mistakes. And the fourth one is giving yourself permission not to have to be the best. Now the first one, giving yourself permission not to know, is a big stumbling block that many people face when they are trying to start out, when they're trying to step across that starting line, either to get rid of a habit or to build a new habit. And the problem is that this can cause a person just not to start, to procrastinate, to put things off. And the reason is because they feel that they don't know enough, right? They don't know enough about what's going to happen, about the timings of things. They feel like they haven't got enough knowledge about themselves or about the problem that they're facing into in order to just go and do it, right? And this can cause a lot of difficulties. Let me tell you something. In every field of life, in every walk of life, there are people who profess to know, right? Who say they know everything, who are an expert in their fields. But a lot of these people don't know half of what they're talking about, right? There's a lot of theories around. Science is full of theories. There's no real certainty about a lot of things in life, There is only theories of, maybe it's this way, maybe it's that way. A lot of evidence points to certain theories being true, but, are they really true or are they false? There are going to be loads of different situations where you're sort of faced with an uncertain future. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen in the next minute. You don't know what these new things are going to bring. You haven't got very much knowledge about, the life that you're leading into, but the situation that you're in is detrimental to you. And quitting drinking is one of those things. You know that if you keep drinking alcohol, that it's going to be worse. Things are going to get worse for you. And you're not really sure about what's going to happen in life, and you've got a lot of apprehension about everything that's got to change in order to move you forward. I mean, I keep saying that the alcohol is the main thing to get rid of, right? That's the number one thing. Without doing that, nothing else is going to change. But once you take the alcohol out of your system, once you take it out of your life, there are so many different areas that you've got to change, right? So just take, for instance, your social life. That's one area where a lot of people have problems with. They don't know whether they can still go down to the pub, whether they can go to the restaurant, whether they can hang around with the same people. And all of these things are possible if you change your attitude, and it's up here first where you have to change everything. You have to change your outlook on life. If you do that, then a lot of the other parts of it are going to fall into place a lot easier. Now, you're only going to do that as you move forward. You can only do that step by step. You can't do that from the beginning. You can't go from being a drinker to all of a sudden thinking like a non-drinker. It's sort of impossible to do. So you've got to do this in a gradual step-by-step approach. You've got to give yourself permission not to know what to do. That, there's going to be scary moments where you walk into a place and you're thinking, oh, fuck, what do I do here? I'm really nervous about this and I really don't want to drink. But all you have to do is keep that in your head all the time, that regardless of what happens, right? Regardless of what happens, you're not going to drink, right? That's not going to enter your mind, right? It's not going to happen. So the next 2 things are basically linked together. It's giving yourself permission to learn and giving yourself permission to make mistakes. As I said, in order to move forwards, you've got to sort of understand that not knowing something is just a fact of life, right? There's always going to be situations that everybody put themselves into where they don't know anything, right? Where they don't know certain aspects of that. And this is where the learning comes in. Give yourself permission to learn and give yourself permission to keep learning throughout your life, because there's always going to be learning situations. The only time you're not in a learning situation is when you're stuck in your comfort zone and you're really not moving outside of the normal things that you do. But then there's no growth, and if you want growth in your life, you've got to push yourself out of those areas out of the comfort zone, into the discomfort zone, into areas where you don't know anything, and into areas where you can learn. And in order to learn, you've also got to be able to accept that mistakes are going to happen, right? We all make mistakes. Everybody who wants to learn something is going to take one step forward, two steps back in terms of, making little errors every so often. If you can avoid taking a drink, then that's an error that you should try and avoid at all costs, right? Because, as I say, in order to progress in this life at all, that has got to be your number one fundamental thing. It's got to be your number one decision, right? When you decide to do something, you cut off all of the choices, right? You make that decision that you're going to do this, and that's it. You say, well, there is no turning back from that. So that's got to be your one fundamental decision, right? From the start is no more alcohol, right? Then anything else that you do, any other mistakes that you do, are going to be part of an overall growth, right? And the final one is just to give yourself permission to not have to be the best, right? So, as I said, moving forwards in this life, getting away from alcohol means that you have to learn new skills, right? Learn how to do new things in your life. This is all a learning curve. It's going to take you a while to get into it, and it's very steep at the beginning. That's why breaking habits is often so difficult, is because there's such a steep learning curve, because there's so many different areas of your life where you have to build new skills. Each skill might be only small in and of itself, but added together, these skills, they sort of accumulate, and they add up to a big sort of, it can get a little bit overwhelming. That's why I try and tell people not to go near pubs, or trying to avoid the most heavy drinkers in their life for the first few weeks at least. It gives them a chance to sort of integrate a lot of the smaller skills into their lives, and give them some self-confidence, and build some self-confidence, and give themselves a little bit of rope, as they say. So when you're learning these new skills, you don't have to be the best. All you have to do is cope with a lot of things. You have to be able to learn the skill, say, of saying no to somebody. You don't have to be the best at saying no to somebody for a drink. You just have to, it has to be a functional, it has to do what it says on the tin. When you say no to somebody, it's got to get through to their head that you're meaning no. And that's one of the skills that you've got to learn. Another skill is, for instance, going to sleep at night. Now, this is going to take you a bit longer because your body is adjusting, your mind is adjusting, and the skill is in learning how to put yourself into a position where you can sleep, put yourself into the best position where you can learn to sleep. So, whereas before, when you were drinking, you would have a drink and that would knock you out, right? So it put you into the coma state, right, when you're going to sleep. Now you haven't got that, so you've got to build yourself up to it, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do. I'm not going to go into them here, but you get what I mean. The basic skill of going to sleep is achieved once you can go to sleep, right? It's not achieved when you're the best at going to sleep. It's achieved when you can go to sleep and you've got a good night's sleep. Things will improve and improve and improve the more you do these things, the more you lock these fundamental skills in place, right? The more things will improve for you, the easier it will get. So when it comes to quitting drinking alcohol, you're better off just stepping across the line. Stop procrastinating, stop putting it off, right? And, don't be waiting for everything to fall into place and that you know everything. You're not going to know everything, right? Put yourself into a position where you can learn as you go along, right? Just step across the line, learn as you're going along. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. Allow yourself to make mistakes. This is all part of the learning process. It's how you learn how to do things, right? It's how you learn how not to do things. And I think one of the most fundamental things is just when you want to do something and when you're trying to learn and you're trying to learn these new skills, just you don't have to be the best at things. You just have to be, it has to be functioning. You have to be able to function in a certain skill and move forward from there. And if you sort of keep that in mind as you're going forwards, you'll make a lot more progress. And this certainly goes for how you should be thinking throughout your new journey, right? As you're learning new skills, as you're moving away from alcohol and you're stopping thinking about alcohol, you know, as you leave alcohol in your past and, you know, you're trying to figure out what to do with all the money that you've got now, all the health that you've got now, all the mental acuity and capacity that you've got now. These things are going to help you there, you know. Make sure that you put yourself into a position where, you know, you don't have to know everything. You know, put yourself into a position where you can learn, open up to learning, open up to new learning experiences. Put yourself in a position where you're allowing yourself to make mistakes and, you know, don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the best. It doesn't have to be the best thing for you to do. It just has to be functioning, move you on to the next step of your wherever you want to go in life, you know. So if you have any questions or comments at all, leave them down below in the comment section. If you want to support Alcohol Mastery, then go over to patreon.com/alcohol mastery, and you can support us for as little as a cup of coffee, right? A couple of euros, a couple of dollars. So until next time, my name's Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Take care of yourself, keep the alcohol out your mouth, onwards and upwards.